We're happy for you to start with that.
Okay, well, we're happy to start now. So, so I'm grateful. Thank you for Sarah, John, and Sensei Flutie for coming up from Sacramento. And from all the way from Athens. That's so great.
Yes, lots of years with his work.
Probably not. He'll probably want to disown me as a student after this is all over. A lot of my friends talk about being authentic, and I've hated the word authentic because I feel like it's overused like a couple of other words that seem to be real posh and used, and I don't know why I mentioned that except for it's just random thoughts. And I'm really grateful to Sensei Smart for having this style. Why it's called New School Aikido is my experience, not anybody else's in here, because we all come from our different backgrounds from childhood up. And gonna try not to cry, but when I got to New School Aikido, I had a need for triage Aikido, and I heard that label from Sensei Flutie about a year and a half ago, maybe 3 years ago. Time kind of blends in. I had a real need for triage Aikido, and had this been a martial arts studio, I wouldn't have stuck, and I probably would have been killed. So I'm really grateful. And my life did not go smooth sailing after that, but I'm really grateful that I am here. And so I'm just going to jump all around. If you don't have one of those brains, you're probably going to hate this presentation, and that's okay, because we need different people and different experiences in the world, in my opinion. So I saw this at Matt Flutie's dojo yesterday, and it was so beautiful. I'm only going to read a few bullets because it's 2 pages long, but it so expresses why reinvent the wheel. I'm not an analytical, I'm an extreme empath. I would wake up at 3:05 in the morning, and Life Alert would call me at 3:10 and say, your father's on the way to the hospital. This is the hospital he's going to. One time I was standing out in front of a meeting hall, and there was this skeleton walking around amongst us. I'm sober 23 years, so I wasn't hallucinating. I don't take ayahuasca for fun, nor do I drink near beer. So this is a real experience for me. I've always kind of had that ever since I would call it a near-death experience, where my husband, him and I did have a drug life, and he got spun out on drugs, and he got into snuff films. If you don't know what those are, I'm not going to share that. And you could Google that. And I was paralyzed on my right side, and I went to this lady named Vivian Sokich, and I was getting acupuncture to try to bring back my right side. And she knew my predicament, and it was the strangest of things. She told me she was an alien, but I didn't give a fuck. I was in bad shape. I'm like, I don't care what you are, please put those needles in my arm. Well, she was putting them all over. But I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was kind of out there like that. And she goes, you should go to New School Aikido. They'll teach you how to survive without fighting. And so, at first I was like, whatever, but I ended up going. And yeah, I'm going to stop and read this real quick. So, this is not from me. This is from somebody, John at newthoughtshealing.com. Make knowing who you really are your life purpose and priority. Know that your true essence is spirit, love, light, truth, abundance, joy, happiness. We are everything. Know that you are not what you do, have, or control. Know that your true purpose is to remember who you are and help others remember who they are. That is your true purpose in life. Know and practice the process or consciousness that processes of a consciousness that keep you connected with God, source, divine, or a higher self. What is the process or consciousness? Being present and in the here and now always. And the reason that I read that is because I find that for me, Aikido expresses that exactly. It embodies it completely. Aikido is not about fighting and killing. Now that's one guy, his name's John. This is a lady who I was brought back to through my yoga teaching in Lodi that Lynn knows very well. She never really met her, but she knows of her very well. I walk the earth in the atmosphere of love, which holds me in spiritual gravitation. The love that I reflect repels every error of mortal mind. For love is the only law, and love is all activity. Love fills all channels and expels all error. Love purifies, inspires, protects, and satisfies. Love contains, love maintains, love sustains, love does liberate, unbind, unseal, and deliver. Naught can hinder love. Love does supply with perfect freedom. Love does furnish, provide, adorn with great liberty. Love does glow warm, shine, light its rays of glory. Love does illumine, irradiate, beam with resplendent brilliancy. Love is the only and all of spiritual attainment and spiritual growth. Without it, healing is not done and cannot be, either morally or physically. Every advanced step will show you this until victory is won and you possess no other consciousness but love divine. To me, I heard John talk about love in the spirit of love. Aikido and love. Love and Aikido. Not resist, not fight, not pound your enemy into the ground, none of that. And I didn't even like him when I first came, not because I didn't know him, it wasn't that. When I first came, Brandy Lucky was my first sensei, and I went through a basic course with her. And then they put me to a man. Well, I had had trauma with a man, and I was like, oh no, I'm not going there, you know. But so have it, I did. And I'm grateful for the man that John is. And I'm going to see if I can read this fast, so that, because John only told me I only have 5 minutes to talk yesterday. So this is from Morihei Ueshiba O-Sensei, founder of Aikido. Awakening occurs from within. It is incumbent upon each of us to look deeply into the core of our own being and to discover where we came from and what we are meant to do. This is the mission imparted to each of us by heaven. The universe is vast. Its truth is also vast and infinite. Human life has neither beginning nor end, but lives over and over through past, present, and future. Draw within your hara the life which lives on and on. Draw into your center all of the universe, and you will become the universe. When one realizes the universe lies within, one also awakens to spiritual energy that pervades that universe. Each and every living being is animated by the subtle working and exchange of Kimusubi, divine energy, and Ikimusubi, embodied energy. Your very existence as a living entity with a unique personality is nothing less than a miracle and an expression of universal love. Where did you come from? If you trace the history of what you call your life back to its origins, you'll discover the universe itself, which is to say the ultimate protector and preserver of all living things. Where do you see God? Within yourself? The life force within you is the same universal life force that pulsates throughout all of creation. That is to say, the power to protect and preserve all things reside within ourselves. Even right now, this man, Ueshiba, is breathing in and absorbing the entire universe into the bokken, wooden sword, that I hold in my hand. I am gathering ki and performing kamiwaza, divinely inspired techniques. It is an act of misogi, purification, cleaning away evil in the world. Aikido possesses an unlimited power to transform human beings. Our being consists of spirit and matter. In union, the two facets generate key power. Aikido is the power of spirit. Always train to develop this power, and let us all please train together. So that I liked all three of those because they all basically say the same thing and they come from different people. And it also is why I do Aikido. I don't need it. I don't have a need to prove that Aikido works. I've had multiple experiences with Aikido working. The first, and I won't say the most profound, but the first one, before I ever had to, I wouldn't even say I confronted my ex-husband. I'll say that, I'll just tell you first, my first one. I was standing in the apartment getting ready to go somewhere, and I knocked the perfume off, and then I just swept my hand down and picked it up. Before, my personality from the drugs and alcohol was so out there that I couldn't focus enough to reach down and grab that calmly and put it back on the shelf. The second one was I was actually in the neighborhood on the other side of I-5 in a drug-infested home. I knew they would call my husband, at least so I thought. I was on my way out that door because I gave up. I'm like, well, he's not showing up. I'm out of here. But he had been stalking me, taking the gas cap off my car, running down streets after me, but he would never do anything. One time he walked on the levee and said, I'll catch up with you someday and I'm going to kill you. But it's not today. Have a good day. And he walked into a friend of mine's house. We didn't lock the doors. He sat right in between the three of us. And he said, how you guys doing? And I was like, oh God, it's today. I lived on that edge before I got to New School Aikido. And before I met him that day at that house. Now, I can't tell you, I actually did Aikido techniques, and I've never really shared this at big group level. There's a few people. John knew this story for many years. And I don't care if you believe it. I'm not here for that. This is my presentation. He can give me that black belt or not. It's not about that. This is a rite of passions I'll hopefully explain before this is all over. For me, and I hope that not to bore or to take any of your time that you feel you can't get back from my presentation here. But I was leaving and I was going to get in that car, and my husband came out the front door, and I went, oh God, here we go. I remember Brandy Lucky had said something, today's a good day to die. I had finally gotten to the point where I said, I have enough where I'm either going to do this and die, or I'm going to do this and live. So I went over there with that attitude, and he walked out that door, and I was ready to stick the key inside of the car that I had actually borrowed and get out of there. And he said my name, and I had such a victim mentality that it would have been such that I would have just cowed, and he would have came over, and violence would have ensued. But that didn't happen that day. I had just enough energy from all of the wonderful people that were training underneath Elaine and John and in the dojo and practicing to go open their own dojos and gathering up their own concepts of Aikido to just turn around and say, I'm fine, how are you? And this gold wall bust on both sides of me. I don't even know what it was, but it was an illumination of gold. And again, I was sober that day, and I'd been sober for a couple of days because I knew I was going there. I didn't want to die high. So I went over there, and he stopped, and he said, fine, how are you? But it was like he couldn't move. There was something keeping him frozen and on that porch. And to me, it was that gold wall, and what I had gotten from Aikido, it was divine intervention. Was that a direct result of Aikido? I believe so. That's up for your own interpretation. I'm just trying to present my experience with Aikido. I did have a couple of others, but only one other I'm going to share. So I was, having my life, having fun, doing Aikido, doing all this stuff, and I went to this bar. It used to be called Stockton Rocks, for any of you that are around Stockton long enough to know that place. And I was going in there, and I was with this guy, and he's like, hey, you're having a party at my house, come with me. And I'm like, stupid enough to do that. And we get up to his apartment, and he opens the door, and I notice it's extremely quiet. There's nobody else in there, and he pushes me against the wall. And I just spun out and left, ran down the stairs. He didn't chase me. Oh, I will share one other. I'm not going to go into it, but the guy, I went into this guy's house, and he had my hands behind me, and I don't know exactly how I got out. I just know that I went out. Somehow I had my hands above my head, and I just ran out the door. People might have been, well, what's that? That's just not, you didn't beat him into the ground. It's like, well, he didn't rape me. And I'll tell you what, he had came out of prison. I'm not going to tell you where I know the guy from, but he was holding my hands down, and I muscle tested, not consciously, but I moved my hands down. Oh my God, he's strong. He's going to rape me, right? And I said, you're a third-degree black belt. No, he's not. And I was like, poof, and I'm out, you know. So, so those are my stories that I have come clean with, and because, you know, I kept them secret because I was ashamed of the places I had been in and who I was. And I'm not. And for me, the 4th degree black belt is about letting go of the whole story, all of the story. My father, my family, I love them all to death, but those stories are old. The victimhood is old. Trying to convince people that Aikido for new school Aikido is the way to go, or that this is right, or that is right, it's not for me to do. Cease fighting everyone and everything, to me, is a complete expression of Aikido. And I really appreciate that about Aikido. And so I blame her for why I'm sitting up here, actually. Marie came to John Smart's seminar, and she goes, how come you haven't been promoted lately, or something like that? And I went, yeah, why haven't I? And then I went up to John, like, how come I haven't been promoted lately, or something like that, you know, like this spoiled little kid. And because I've lived that little element my whole life too. And for me, I am sober. I don't sit around in AA just sitting there. I actually do a lot of work, and I have had a lot of what people call shadow side. I'm not free of them all, but I understand why it is here today. My father passed away December 3rd of 2017. And I was his caretaker for 10 years. My dad was a great guy, but it was very difficult for me, being an empath and just the situation and everything. And for me here, I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I noticed something. I haven't been with John Smart as my teacher for a few years, and I was getting really, really sick last time he came. I've been going to Matt for like 4 years, working on my neurological system. I don't go to medical doctors. I watched what they did to my father. I'm not against it. If you go, I'm totally good with that. But I'm not going. And I feel like had he not come back for that little brief period, I might not be sitting here. And I already knew I was kind of on the upswing, but what I noticed the training with him yesterday is there's something when I'm on the mat and John's unique approach that works for me. His unique approach that works for me, my cells vibrate at a higher level, and they get fed infinite, universal, life force energy. And they vibrate high enough to fix anything inside that's wrong. And I've come from, I mean, people think I cuss a lot now. It used to be a lot worse. But so I don't know that that my technique would be something that everybody would appreciate or say, oh, that's 4th degree black belt material. But that's another thing that I love about Sensei Smart is, at least from my vision, he's always understood that it's not just about technique. It's about the whole human being, where they're at, where they've come from, what their honest heart's desire is, and allows that to transform in through the practice. And he doesn't butt in the way very much, but sometimes he will come in and show something. And so you guys have all sat for a very long time already. I know, I don't even know how long it's been, but I guess if I look over there, I do. If I look over there, I do. So I actually have talked for a very long time, didn't mean to do that. I was only supposed to be given 5 minutes. But what I like about Aikido is just moving, and I hit her in the head, and that's okay because we're just playing around here, moving the body. And what I'm learning is not to sit here and try to force her and hurt her and tell her stop being like that to me or any of this stuff. And then I get a turn to maybe see somebody else's point of view. And I get to roll with them and move. And I get to breathe. Now I could sit here and go ahead. And I could sit here and go like this, but I'm not playing in life. No, I'm not going to take that opportunity. Go ahead, try again. No, I'm not going to take that opportunity. No, go ahead. I'm not going to take that opportunity. Maybe there's an opportunity around the corner if I keep moving, right? And so I'm very grateful that what I've learned from Aikido has really not much to do about self-defense because I've already had, hopefully, I don't have any more because I don't really like engaging in that space. I also have to tell you one time, this is something that I never was able to do very well, is talk and move around in Aikido. One time I was doing a demonstration at an in shape, and I was so far out there, trying to project out there and talk to people, that I wasn't in my body, and I threw this dude named Steve Rabara, if anybody remembers him, right down on my left toe. I dislocated it inside of in shape, and I'm bleeding, and the poor guy, he comes up and he goes, "Do you need to tell?" I'm like, no, I'm good. My toe's all bent backwards and bleeding, and so he goes and gets that towel anyways, because he had better sense than I did. My dad used to say I was like a bull in a china cabinet. I never understood, but my dad saw so much of him and me. That's how he knew that, right? And I see he was totally right about that. I like when you're engaged with people and you don't know actually who's leading and who's following, because then there's just creation instead of forced action. So to me, this flow is vital as compared to doing this and then that and stuff like that, you know, which when I first got here, I think I was like this. I mean, I stood right in the way when they were doing Sumiya Toshi. I was like, get down there! I mean, the poor people's shoulders. Because I was just like unwilling to move off of my line of how life went. And that's pretty much how I express myself, right? And then I learned, oh wow, like moving, even if it doesn't feel like the right move for your life at the moment, just moving around. Oh, look. And people go, oh, that looks too fake, that wouldn't work. Well, I don't know. It's worked for me. And, you know, it worked in the form of a gold wall. Your turn. And It worked spiraling out of that guy's apartment. And it worked with a perfume bottle. Yep, yep. Thank you very much. So, could you throw me around for a minute?
Okay.
So I haven't been able to roll for a while, but after 2 days of going to seminars, I have no problem. So new school Aikido has been my home for a very long time, and it's a spirit. It's a spirit. I think that Sensei Smart came back from Vietnam with which, I mean, he wasn't in Vietnam, he was in Japan, thank God. Thank God he came to Stockton, California. And I saw what that war did to my dad. He was in Korea in 2 tours of Vietnam. And I'm so glad to have like the spirit just came down into Stockton and gave me a capacity to have a whole new life. I'm pretty sure there's a girl, I don't see her anymore, but she used to have long blonde hair, and she used to push around an empty baby cart. She's homeless, and I'm pretty sure that would have been me had I not come across New School Aikido, because there was one other thing that Elaine and John came to me at one point and said, I don't remember exactly what they said, but I was pretty new and I was teaching the kids' classes, and they said something like, we don't know what's wrong with you, but, fix it. I think it was like, I was too, out in left field or something, I don't know. And I knew what they were talking about was, at least internally, I knew that it had something to do with the drugs and alcohol. And I don't think they know this part, and I would appreciate if everybody shuts the camera off for this part. I had this, I know probably some of you expected a lot more Aikido, but I feel like that's really an inside job from here on out. Like, it's not about what I can show you that I know. And if I can have half the mind to transmit it without getting as involved as I have a tendency to do, and just be a reflecting example as Sensei Smart and Flutie have been to me. And I don't know how to end it except for thank you all very much. I'm out of here.